All right, today we're talking about something pretty high stakes, something that's happening right now inside the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. They're rolling out a really powerful new kind of AI, and not just in one department, but across the entire agency. Their goal is huge, to completely change how they approve new medicines and keep an eye on public safety. But, and this is a big but, this huge leap forward comes right on the heels of a story about AI going, well, pretty wrong. So that leaves us with a massive question. Can they actually speed up cures without causing total chaos? Let's dive in. And look, you can just feel the ambition in this quote from the FDA Commissioner Robert Califf. He's not talking about this like it's some simple software update. No, he's framing it as a historic moment for the agency. The mission is crystal clear. Use the absolute best tech out there to get life-saving treatments to people way, way faster. It's a seriously bold vision, and it's the engine behind this whole massive shift. So, okay, what exactly is this big upgrade? Well, in December 2025, the FDA went live with a brand new, super secure AI platform. And get this, it's available to every single employee. This isn't some small test run or pilot program. We're talking about an agency-wide tool that's meant to completely change the day-to-day work of their scientists and reviewers.
Now, what's really incredible here is just how many things they plan on using this for. I mean, we are not just talking about managing meetings. This AI is being plugged into the absolute core functions of the FDA. Things like reviewing new drug applications before they can be sold, double-checking those reviews, and even watching over products that are already out on the market. It's designed to touch pretty much every single critical step in the process.
Okay, this brings us to a really key point, the tech itself. Because the FDA isn't just installing some off-the-shelf chatbot you might find online. Nope, they've deployed something called Agentic AI. So what in the world is that? And more importantly, why is that difference so critical when you're an agency making literal life and death decisions?
So here's the official definition, straight from the FDA. The words you really want to lock onto are planning, reasoning, and executing multi-step actions. See, unlike a simple AI that just gives you an answer to a question, an agentic system gets a complex goal. Then, it figures out all the smaller steps needed to achieve that goal, and it actually goes and does them. And notice that last part, human oversight. That phrase is absolutely critical, and it's a lesson they learn the hard way, as you're about to find out.
Okay, let's make this real. The best way to think about it is like a super-powered, incredibly fast research assistant. A human scientist might give it a big goal, something like, hey, review this entire new drug submission and flag any potential safety issues. The AI then goes to work. It plans out its attack. First, I'll search our historical safety databases. Then I'll scan all the public research papers. Then I'll compare the new product label to existing ones. It goes and does all that legwork. And then, and this is the most important part, it brings back a neat summary for the human expert to look at and make the final decision. I mean, that sounds incredible, right? Almost too good to be true. But you know the saying, with great power comes great risk. And this isn't actually the FDA's first rodeo with this kind of AI. In fact, what happened just a few months ago with a different AI tool is a pretty serious warning sign. So let's talk about Elsa. And no, not the one from Frozen. This Elsa was the FDA's first big generative AI tool. It was launched just a few months before this new platform we've been talking about. It was supposed to be a total game changer for the agency. But instead, it quickly became a bit of a ghost in the machine. And this timeline really shows you just how fast everything went south. Elsa gets launched with a lot of excitement in June 2025. But by July, we're talking just 1 month later, people inside the FDA are already saying, hey, this thing is having some serious problems. And boom, by December, the agency is already pivoting and rolling out a totally new system, one they hope will fix all of Elsa's flaws. And this really just lays it all out, the huge gap between what was promised and what actually happened. Elsa was supposed to help with really important stuff, like summarizing side effect reports to see if a drug is safe. But what it actually did was hallucinate. That's the term for when an AI just makes stuff up. In this case, it was citing scientific studies that flat out did not exist. I mean, for an agency whose entire job is based on science and facts, that is a catastrophic failure. It basically made the tool useless for any real work. And this quote from an anonymous official inside the FDA really says it all. It hallucinates confidently. Just think about that for a second. That's the really scary part, right? The AI wasn't just wrong. It was wrong and sounded absolutely sure of itself.
You can imagine how dangerous that would be if a busy scientist just trusted what it said. This whole experience really shaped everything that the FDA did next. So, here's the thing. The FDA didn't just throw in the towel on AI. Not at all. Instead, they took those really tough lessons they learned from ELSA and used them to design a brand new system, this time with much, much stronger guardrails. So, the big question is, what makes this new platform different? How is it built to be safer? Well, these 4 features are basically direct answers to what went wrong. First off, it's built in a high-security government cloud, so it's locked down. Second, and this one is a huge deal, it's not allowed to train itself on sensitive data from drug companies or on what the staff types into it. That stops data leaks, and it stops the AI from learning about information. Third, that human oversight we talked about, it's not just a suggestion, it's baked into the very core of the system. And finally, nobody has to use it. It's totally optional, which lets people get comfortable with it and build trust at their own pace. But the FDA isn't just pushing this new tech down from the top and saying, here, use this. They're actually doing something really interesting to encourage smart, responsible innovation. They're turning to the experts they already have, their own staff.
Here's what they're doing. They're launching what they call an Agentic AI challenge. It's basically an internal competition. They're telling their own scientists and reviewers, hey, here's the platform, go play with it, build something cool, show us what it can do. It's a really clever way to figure out the best and safest ways to use the tool because the ideas are coming from the very people who do the work every single day.
And this isn't some vague plan for the future either. They've already set a date. The best ideas from this challenge are going to be showcased in January 2026 at a big internal event. So this is a story that's actively unfolding, and we're going to see the results pretty soon.
So this all brings us back to that one huge critical question. The FDA is making a big bet. They're betting that if they put in the right safety nets, create the right kind of culture, and always keep a human in the loop, they can manage the risks of AI. If they're right, the payoff is massive, a faster path to cures for all of us. But if they're wrong, well, the consequences could be serious. This really is one of the biggest technological gambles in public health today, and you can bet we'll be watching to see how it all unfolds. Thanks for tuning in.